Beneath a sky heavy with storm clouds, an ancient stone bridge arches over a swollen river, its moss-covered pillars standing silent witness to centuries of forgotten history. The relentless current churns with fallen leaves and lost relics, carrying whispers of empires swallowed by time and tempest. Here, where water and stone meet, a solitary figure traces the worn carvings etched into the bridge's weathered surface, fingers trembling as if reaching through the veil of centuries to touch ghosts long faded from memory. This bridge is not merely a crossing, it is a fragile threshold between worlds, a silent keeper of secrets where past and present collide, inviting us to step into the shadows of lost kingdoms buried beneath the earth and waiting to be reclaimed. Beneath a heavy sky, swollen with the threat of rain, the shattered stones of a forgotten citadel press cold against the earth, their jagged edges stark and unforgiving against the fading light. The wind moves like a restless spirit, whispering secrets through crumbling archways, carrying with it the faint scent of moss, clinging to ancient timber and the smoky remnants of long-extinguished fires. Beneath this veil of silence, the faint metallic temps of rusted iron and the bitter memory of spilled blood linger, seeping into the soil like a dark stain, stubborn and unyielding. Time has folded itself tight within these broken walls, where silence reigns as silence, as thick and suffocating as the dust that settles on shattered banners and twisted swords. Remnants of battles waged by men whose names have been swallowed by history. In this hollow stillness, the ghosts of a vanished realm linger, shadows cast by a dying flame flickering uncertainly against the cold stone. They are the memories of those who once roamed these halls nights, clad in mail heavy with sweat and dreams, nobles wrapped in ambition and fragile hope. The citadel stands as both monument and mausoleum, its ruined towers stoic and watchful, like ancient sentinels guarding a secret. These stones hold witness to the rise and fall of empires that dared to reach beyond their grasp, empires whose fate was carved into the cold, unforgiving stone, sealed by the brutal hand of war and the slow, inevitable erosion of time. The sun dips lower, bleeding its last light across fractured battlements, as a solitary raven breaks the stillness, its black wings cutting a dark thread through the twilight sky. It cries once, a sharp and haunting call, a messenger of omens yet to be read, stories still buried deep beneath layers of soil and memory. This bird's flight is a silent hymn to the past, a world of shattered kingdoms and forgotten rulers whose spirits linger in the ruins, waiting patiently for the day their truths might finally emerge from beneath the earth's cold embrace. These ruins are no mere remnants of destruction, but vessels of remembrance, heavy with the weight of what was lost and the fragile hope that still endures. In every cracked stone and splintered beam, there is a story held fast against oblivion, a pulse of life beneath the dust and decay. The citadel, though broken, breathes with the echoes of its past, of laughter and lament, of feasts and betrayals, of blood spilled in honor and in desperation. It whispers to those who listen, speaking of dreams that stretched too far and hearts that dared to beat against the relentless march of time. The sky darkens further, clouds gathering like a shroud ready to weep upon the earth, and the wind rises, threading through the ruins with colder breath. The citadel's stones seem to shudder under the weight of centuries, as if mourning the vanished lives that once made this place whole. Beneath the surface, roots twist and claw at buried foundations. Nature reclaiming what man's ambition could not hold. Yet within this quiet decay, there is a stubborn flicker of resilience, a stubbornness in the stones themselves, a reminder that even in ruin, something endures. At the edge of this ancient fortress, a lone figure stands silhouetted against the gathering storm, a historian, a seeker of truths, tracing fingers along the worn carvings of a broken column. They feel the chill of the stones, the rough texture beneath their palms, and hear the whisper of the past pressing close like a breath on the back of their neck. In this moment, the line between present and history blurs, and the citadel becomes more than a ruin. It is a fragile bridge connecting worlds, a silent witness to the passage of kings and commoners alike. Here in the fading light, the citadel's story unfolds not in grand proclamations or victorious trumpets, but in the quiet resilience of stone and shadow. It is a tale of fragile power held in trembling hands, of dreams carved in iron and blood, and of the inevitable surrender to time's endless tide. As the first drops of rain fall, mingling with the dust and silence, there is a solemn promise, whispered through the ruins, that even in decay, the spirit of lost kingdoms endures, waiting patiently beneath the soil to reveal deeper truths to those who dare to listen and remember. The first light of dawn seeps pale and cold through the shattered roof of a once majestic hall, casting fractured beams upon damp stone walls, draped in tattered tapestries that cling like faded memories. The air is heavy with the scent of mildew, and earth rising from cracked flagstones, mingling with the faint bitterness of burnt wood and the ghost of extinguished candles. In a shadowed corner, the remnants of a carved oak throne sit fractured and abandoned, its surface scarred by both the fury of battles long past and the slow, relentless hand of decay. This hall, once alive with the clatter of feasting and the hushed murmur of whispered counsel, now lies in solemn slumber beneath thick layers of dust and silence. The echoes of laughter and anger, of loyalty pledged and treachery forged, are buried deep within these cold stones, their weight a silent burden, pressing down like a shroud over forgotten kings and queens. Ambitions burned bright here once, fierce as the torches that lit the vaulted ceilings, only to be swallowed by shadows. Cast by time's unforgiving passage, the bitter irony of grandeur, built from stone and steel, reveals itself in this hushed ruin. No fortress, no throne, no crown can withstand the slow erosion of years and the merciless claim of oblivion. Yet, amid the ruin, there is life, a defiant thread woven by wildflowers, breaking through cracked floors, fragile and persistent, their quiet rebellion against forgetting as potent as any sword. Here, in the silence, the past breathes softly, a spectral presence lingering just beyond sight, whispering stories sealed in darkness, like ancient secrets too dangerous to tell aloud. Each cracked stone, every faded thread of tapestry, holds a fragment of a tale of battles won and lost, of kings betrayed by those closest to them, of dreams shattered beneath the weight of crowns heavier than flesh and bone. The hall's stillness is not emptiness, but a fragile pause, a moment suspended between memory and oblivion, waiting for the day when these buried truths will rise again to illuminate the shadows. Outside, the wind stirs, slipping through broken windows and hollow doorways, carrying with it the faintest echo of voices long silenced, counsel given in hushed tones, laughter shared beneath flickering candlelight, and the restless steps of courtiers weaving secrets through stone corridors. The hall listens, steeped in its solitude, haunted not by ghosts alone, but by the heavy, unspoken cost of power, loyalty tested and broken. Families torn asunder by ambition, and the slow unraveling of empires that believed themselves eternal. In this forgotten place, history is lived not as distant legend, but as a palpable, aching presence, folding itself into the cracks and shadows like creeping ivy. The day unfolds slowly, pale light stretching across the ruined floor, brushing against the wildflowers that rise like fragile hope amid decay. The throne, fractured yet still proud in its defiance, stands as a silent testament to both glory and loss, broken arms, holding stories of kings who ruled with iron wills and queens who navigated webs of betrayal and sacrifice. These tales pulse beneath the surface, alive in the dust and shadows, waiting patiently for a voice to awaken them once more. As the sun climbs higher, the hall remains cloaked in quiet reverence, its silence a sacred veil that both conceals and reveals. The weight of history settles here like a slow, mournful breath, a reminder that all power, no matter how grand, is fragile, and that even the mightiest reigns are destined to crumble into silence. Yet within this inevitable ruin lies the promise of rediscovery, the chance for forgotten voices to rise from dust and shadow, casting new light on the fragile human hearts that shaped kingdoms and doomed empires alike. In the stillness of this broken hall, beneath the fading echoes of one's voiced commands and the rustle of withered banners, the story waits, patient, unyielding, eternal, poised on the cusp of revelation, inviting those who listen to peer beyond the silence and uncover the truths buried deep beneath forgotten thrones. A cold mist rises from the edge of a forgotten moat, curling like ghostly fingers over the shattered remains of a city long drowned beneath centuries of silence. The air is thick with the scent of brine and decay, the salt tempts sharp against the nose as the faint ripple of water laps mournfully against rotted timber and moss-clad stones. It is a rhythm both haunting and relentless, the pulse of a world submerged beneath sorrow and time. Overgrown vines clutch the broken walls, once proud and defiant, now bowed beneath nature's patient siege, a silent testament to the passage of ages, reclaiming all that men once built in fleeting defiance of the earth. Through shattered archways and sunken streets, silent voices echo faintly, merchants haggling under a gray sky, soldiers marching with heavy feet, peasants bending beneath burdens too great to bear. Their lives are swallowed whole by the twin scourges of war and famine, plague and despair. Their names lost to the water's depths, but their presence never fully erased. Like ghosts caught between stone and tide, they linger still, their stories tangled in the thick roots of reeds and the cold mud beneath the surface. Each ripple whispers a memory, fragile and fading, a soft lament carried on the wind and swallowed again by the endless water. In the heart of this desolation, a single, weathered statue stands half submerged, its features softened and worn by relentless erosion. The face, once carved with pride and purpose, now blurs beneath layers of salt and time, a silent witness to the tragedy that engulfed this drowned kingdom. It gazes out over the still waters, a sentinel carved in stone, bearing mute testimony. Two dreams shattered and empires sunk beneath the cold embrace of forgotten tides. This figure, stoic and resigned, holds the memory of lives swept away by the harsh hand of fate. Men and women caught in a tempest of history, vanished but never truly gone. The city's pulse, once vibrant and loud, with the clang of iron and the bustle of trade, has slowed to a fragile whisper beneath the water's surface. The scent of salt mingles with the bitter trace of death and loss, filling the hollow spaces where once stood markets and chapels, homes and hearths. Moss and seaweed weave through broken cobbles and fallen pillars, nature's quiet fingers stitching wounds left by fire and sword. In this stillness, the past breathes faintly, a fragile thread connecting the living to the dead. The known to the forgotten. Above, gulls wheel and cry, their harsh calls slicing through the cold air, reminders that life endures even here where so much has been lost. The wind stirs the mist, lifting it from the water's face like a veil between worlds, a curtain behind which stories wait patiently to be uncovered. The cries mingle with the soft splash of water and the creak of ancient wood, sounds that carry the weight of history's sorrow and the fragile hope that memory might yet outlast ruin. This drowned city is more than ruins swallowed by water. It is a graveyard of ambition and survival, a place where the tides have claimed not only stone, but the souls of those who dared to dream beneath the crushing weight of empires. Here, beneath the cold, dark surface, history holds its breath, waiting for those who listen to hear the whispered tales of love lost, battles fought, and kingdoms doomed by forces greater than swords or walls. It is a silent call to remember, a haunting melody echoing beneath the waves, beckoning the living to unearth the truths that lie buried beneath the water's embrace. The mist thickens as the day wanes, cloaking the ruins in a veil of sorrow and solitude. Shadows lengthen across sunken streets, and the water's surface darkens, mirroring the heavy sky above. The drowned city seems to hold its secrets tighter still, guarding the fragile remains of a vanished world beneath the cold shroud of silence. Yet in that quiet, a promise stirs that even beneath ruin and despair, the pulse of history continues, faint but unbroken, reaching out through time like a breath waiting to be drawn once more. As the tides ebb and flow, carrying away the last golden light of day, the water cradles the stories of those who lived, loved, and perished here. They are etched not in stone alone, but in the shifting currents and the whisper of waves against weathered stone. The drowned city is a mirror, held to the past, reflecting the fragility of power and the inevitability of loss. It calls us to listen closely, to peer beneath the surface, and to remember the lives that shaped the world. Lost beneath forgotten waters, but never truly gone, the water's cold embrace invites us onward, toward deeper truths waiting beneath the tides, the stories of kingdoms swallowed whole, of empires that dared to defy time only to be claimed by it. What remains is a silent, watery grave and a quiet hope that in remembering the drowned, we hold fast to the fragile thread that binds past and present, life and death, memory and oblivion. Beneath a sky bruised with heavy storm clouds, skeletal trees stand as silent sentinels, their twisted branches clawing at the restless wind that sweeps across a desolate battlefield. The earth beneath is scarred, mottled with patches of burnt grass blackened by fire and churned soil trampled by countless feet, the weight of conflict pressing down on this forgotten ground. Rusted helmets lie half swallowed by the mud, shattered shields cracked and forgotten, and broken swords jut like fractured bones from the earth, relics of fury now stilled beneath the heavy breath of the storm. The air is thick with the acrid scent of smoke and iron, a bitter reminder of battles fought with brutal desperation, where steel sang its deadly song and lives were bartered in blood. Amidst this ruin, a lone knight kneels, his gauntleted hand resting on the cracked hilt of a sword dulled by time and sorrow. His armor is battered, dented by blows that marked both flesh and spirit, and his eyes, dark and weary, are fixed on a horizon swallowed by swirling mist. Around him, the wind carries faint, sorrowful wails, ghostly echoes of fallen comrades whose voices are folded deep into the soil like hidden scrolls, their stories whispered only to the restless earth and the passing storm. Each gust seems to carry the weight of loss, a mournful lament that wraps the battlefield in an unbroken shroud of grief and remembrance. This place is no longer merely dirt and stone. It is a canvas painted with shadows, sorrow, and the heavy silence of lives broken beneath the unforgiving hand of fate. The knight's figure, silhouetted against the darkening sky, merges with the ruin, his stillness, a testament to endurance amid devastation. He embodies the fragile line between survival and oblivion, a living thread connecting the past's glory with the present's harsh reckoning. His breath, visible in the cold air, mingles with the scent of rain yet to fall, a fragile sign of life clinging stubbornly to a land scarred by death. He knows the bitter truth that no army, however mighty, can outlast the cruel calculus of war. The ground beneath him is a graveyard of ambition and sacrifice, where honor and despair lie entwined in the tangled roots of shattered dreams. As thunder rumbles low across the bruised sky, the first drops of rain begin to fall, soft at first, then gathering strength in a steady rhythm that washes over the broken field. The storm's arrival brings with it a cleansing, yet also a somber reckoning, as if the heavens themselves mourn the countless souls lost beneath this battered earth. Lightning flickers, momentarily illuminating the jagged silhouettes of trees, and the glint of rusted steel, casting fleeting light on the forgotten faces of history. In this fleeting illumination, the knight bows his head, silent prayer for those who cannot rise again, for the fallen who haunt the land as shadows and silence. The battlefield, once alive with the clash of weapons and the cries of men, now breathes only in memory and mist. Its ghosts linger in the cold wind, in the rustle of leaves, in the quiet spread of mud and water pooling in forgotten trenches. The earth holds them close, a somber guardian of stories carved in blood and sorrow, a reluctant keeper of legacies both brutal and broken. Yet, amid this stillness, the presence of the night offers a fragile hope, a reminder that even in the wake of ruin, the spirit of those who fought endures, their courage etched into the bones of the land. The The rain thickens, mingling with the dark soil as the night slowly rises, his silhouette blending with the shadows of trees and stone. His gaze turns toward the distant horizon, where the mists swirl like a veil drawn between past and future. He stands poised between memory and oblivion, a witness to the relentless passage of time and the silent testament of a battlefield forever marked by sacrifice. As the storm carries away the last echoes of battle, it also whispers of what must come next, the fragile dawn that follows darkness, the uneasy peace that must rise from ruin. This battlefield is more than a place of death. It is a crucible of human endurance and loss, a silent monument to the price of ambition and the fleeting nature of power. It calls to those who would listen to remember the fallen not as mere casualties, but as souls bound to the land, their stories woven into the very fabric of the earth. The knight's figure fades into the storm's embrace, leaving behind a quiet question hanging in the charged air. What will rise from these shadows, and who will carry the weight of memory forward into the uncertain light of tomorrow? In the quiet heart of a monastery cloister, pale candlelight shivers against walls worn smooth by the steady hands of centuries, each stone soaked with whispered prayers and whispered penitence. The air is thick with the mingled sense of burning, wax and aged parchment, a fragrant shroud weaving through the cool arches, settling gently on the bowed heads of hooded monks. Their faces are pale in the flickering light, eyes narrowed in concentration, hands steady yet tender as they trace the delicate contours of illuminated manuscript pages, alive with gold leaf and ink, fragile vessels carrying the weight of memory and wisdom. Every brushstroke is an act of defiance, a desperate attempt to hold fast to knowledge as the world outside fractures, its old orders crumbling like brittle stone beneath the relentless march of time. Beyond the cloister's fragile sanctuary, the distant tolling of a bell tolls slowly, its mournful peal stretching across the cold landscape. Each chime marks the passage of time, a sound heavy with the dual burdens of devotion and loss. It is a reminder that here, amid prayer and silence, faith wrestles with shadowy battle, not waged with sword or shield, but with quiet resilience. The monks carry this burden in their very bones, their lives bound to a sacred duty that transcends earthly power. Their whispered prayers rise like smoke, fragile yet unyielding, threading through the cold stone and into the gathering darkness beyond. Within these walls, silence is thick and heavy, a living thing weighed down by unspoken fears and secrets kept beneath breath and shadow. The manuscript lies open upon the worn wooden desk, its fragile pages trembling beneath the trembling fingers of a monk whose eyes reflect the flickering flames. The words inscribed here are more than ink on vellum. They are a delicate thread connecting past and future in a world where empires crumble beneath the slow decay of time and betrayal. The script carries secrets that could unravel lives or ignite fires forbidden to the outside world, testament to the fragile hope that knowledge might endure, even as kingdoms fall and darkness creeps ever closer. The pages seem to pulse faintly. Beneath the touch, a fragile heartbeat against the silence, as if the very soul of the world were held within their fragile folds. Outside, the wind whispers through the barren branches, carrying the scent of damp earth and distant rain. a cold reminder of the world's relentless indifference. Within these cloistered halls, time moves differently, slower, heavier, more deliberate, each moment marked by the rustle of parchment, the soft scratch of quills, and the murmured prayers rising like incense. Here, the monks live suspended between worlds, guardians of a fading light, caught between the dying of one age and the uncertain dawn of another. Their devotion is a fragile shield against the encroaching shadows, a testament to the power of belief in a time when certainty is as elusive as the flickering flame. The candle's flame wavers, casting long, quivering shadows that dance across the stone, blurring the line between sacred and profane. These walls hold more than scripture. They hold stories of sacrifice, exile, and the invisible chains of duty that bind these men to a purpose greater than themselves. Each monk carries within him the silent weight of sacrifice, a life measured in whispered prayers and stolen moments beneath the pale glow. Their faith is both refuge and prison, a delicate balance between hope and despair that pulses beneath every breath. In the quiet, the fragile manuscript becomes a symbol of all they strive to protect, the last flickering flame of knowledge in a world falling ever deeper into shadow. The distant bell tolls again, slower now, as if reluctant to mark the passage of time. The monk's gaze lifts to a stained glass window where fractured light spills in shards of ruby and sapphire across the cold stone floor, painting the silence with color and sorrow. These shards are like broken hopes scattered by the relentless tide of history, reflections of a pursuit for redemption that seems as endless as it is elusive. In this fragile light, the line between past and future blurs, a silent testament to the enduring struggle between faith and fear, knowledge and silence, light and shadow. The manuscript closes gently, the fragile pages resting like a secret withheld, a promise waiting to unfold in the shadows beyond. As the candle burns lower, the monks remain vigilant, their presence a quiet rebellion against oblivion. They are the silent custodians of memory, bound by a sacred trust to carry the flickering flame of knowledge through the darkest nights. Their prayers are threads woven into the tapestry of a world forever poised between ruin and hope, between the fading echoes of the past and the uncertain light of dawn. In the stillness of the cloister, the fragile flame endures, a beacon for those who will come after, a whisper of resilience in a time when empires fall but belief remains unbroken. The soft rustle of a closing door, the distant echo of footsteps fading into the stone corridors. These are the sounds of a world held in fragile balance. The monks return to their vigil, the manuscript's secrets safe, its weight a silent promise that even as kingdoms crumble, the spirit of knowledge will endure. In this sanctuary of faith and shadow, the story continues, watching, whispering toward the next chapter in the eternal dance of light and darkness. Along a winding forest path, thick with mist that clings like a shroud, a band of weary refugees moves silently. Their cloaks are heavy with damp earth and dust, the fabric worn thin by endless travel and sleepless nights. Each step sinks softly into the cold soil, swallowed by the muted chorus of the forest. The scent of pine mingles with something far less natural, a faint coppery tang of old wounds, the sharp reminder of battles fought and loved ones lost. Between quickened breaths, the quiet murmur of prayers threads through the group, whispered with trembling lips, a fragile thread holding their resolve together in the face of relentless despair. Faces emerge from the fog, gaunt and hollowed by hunger and grief, eyes clouded with the distant longing for a home devoured by war's merciless maw. Children clutch ragged dolls, their small hands trembling with the weight of fear and fatigue, while mothers fold fragile bodies into their arms, shielding what little life remains with weary tenderness. The forest, dense and somber, stands as both sanctuary and snare, labyrinth of shadows, alive with unseen dangers, where every crack of a branch and rustle of leaves holds the promise of either salvation or doom. The dense canopy above swallows the pale light, making each flickering torch a beacon of hope and a call to caution, casting jittering shapes that leap and falter between gnarled trunks. Above this fragile procession, a lone owl's haunting call pierces the night, a mournful lullaby drifting through the mist, echoing the sorrow of lives uprooted and futures uncertain. Its voice hangs like a solemn promise-a reminder that even in exile, beneath the heavy veil of loss, the ember of life endures. Yet this fragile flame flickers against the cold winds of fear and hunger, the shadows pressing ever closer, carrying the ghosts of betrayal and desperation. The refugees tread a narrow path between survival and surrender, caught in a world that offers neither safety nor solace, only the relentless test of endurance. The journey presses onward through the tangled woods, where silence is broken only by the occasional cough or the soft sob of a child held tight against a mother's breast. Each moment stretches thin, threaded with the tension of uncertainty, the fear that pursuit lies just beyond the veil of mist, that the next step may lead to ruin or rescue. The ground beneath their feet is uneven and treacherous, roots twisting like ancient chains gripping the earth, threatening to trip the weary travelers. Yet they move as one fragile body, bound by shared loss and desperate hope, their shadows merging with the forest's own, becoming part of the ancient story written in mud and leaf. Through this twilight world, memories flicker like dying embers, glimpses of hearth fires left behind, laughter swallowed by the roar of battle, and the whispered promises of better days that now seem as distant as the stars veiled by storm clouds. In this quiet wilderness, the refugees carry more than their few possessions. They bear the invisible weight of history's cruelty, the sacrifice of kin, and the betrayal of lands once called home. Their survival is a testament to the stubborn pulse of life that refuses to be extinguished, even when all seems lost beneath the crushing hand of fate. As dawn inches toward the horizon, faint light filters through the canopy, scattering the shadows and revealing the fragile path ahead. The forest breathes around them, ancient and indifferent, its secrets locked away in bark and stone. For those who walk beneath its boughs, the journey is not just one of distance, but of transformation, a passage from despair toward an uncertain dawn, where the promise of sanctuary remains as elusive as the morning mist. Each step forward is a fragile act of rebellion against oblivion, a silent vow that the stories of those who flee will not be swallowed by the silence. The faint glow of the rising sun catches the edges of ragged cloaks and worn faces, casting a fragile warmth over the procession as they emerge from the depths of the forest. Yet, even as light grows, the weight of loss clings to their shadows, stretching long across the path that still lies ahead. In their hearts, a quiet question lingers: what awaits beyond the woods, in a world fractured by war and fear? The answer remains veiled, whispered only by the wind and the distant call of the owl, a symbol of watchfulness and mystery that follows them like a silent guardian through the twilight. The forest falls behind, but its memory lives within the weary souls who press onward, bound by the fragile thread of hope that even in exile, life will find a way to endure. In this moment of transition between shadow and light, the refugees carry with them the weight of the past and the fragile possibility of a future, an unspoken promise that the ember of survival, though flickering and faint, still burns beneath the heavy shroud of loss. A crumbling stone bridge stretches across a swollen river, swollen not just with rain, but with the weight of memory. Moss clings stubbornly to its ancient pillars, green and soft against the harsh, relentless rush of water that tumbles beneath, carrying with it fallen leaves and fragments of a civilization long swept away by time and tempest. The river sings a mournful song, churning and restless, its currents weaving stories lost beneath layers of sediment and sorrow. Above, the sky hangs heavy with thick clouds, gray and low, pressing down on the world as if to crush the fragile remnants of what once was. At the edge of this silent crossing stands a solitary figure, cloaked in threadbare wool, worn thin by years of wandering and hardship. Their fingers tremble as they trace the worn carvings etched deep into the stone's glyphs, weathered smooth, yet stubbornly alive with the echoes of hands long vanished. Each line and curve is a whisper from the past, a ghost speaking through stone and moss, reminding the living of the fragile thread that binds them to forgotten kings and broken empires. The figure's breath rises in small clouds, mingling with the damp air, thick with the scent of wet earth and ancient wood, mingled faintly with the distant tolling of church bells that roll solemn and slow through the mist. This bridge, fractured and bowed by centuries, is more than a crossing. It is a threshold, a liminal space between what was and what remains. It binds two worlds, the realm of memory and the harsh present, the ruins buried beneath earth and river, and the fragile lives clinging to the edges of oblivion. The stones beneath the traveler's touch seem to pulse faintly, as if alive with the weight of stories that refuse to be silenced, tales of loyalty and betrayal, of crowns forged and shattered, of blood spilled beneath storm-swept skies. Each worn step across the bridge is a pilgrimage, a solemn passage through the ruins of time where the past and present collide like the swirling waters below. The river's roar is constant, relentless, drowning and shaping all that it touches. It is both destroyer and preserver, carrying away the ashes of empires, even as it preserves the relics hidden in its depths. The current moves with the patience of centuries, smoothing jagged edges and swallowing secrets whole. The traveler watches the water's surface, where fragments of rusted iron and broken pottery drift like silent witnesses, carried along by the eternal flow. The bridge's stones bear the scars of battles fought and oaths broken, their surfaces cracked and chipped, yet still holding fast, much like the memories tethered to them. Above the horizon, the bells toll again, each peal a solemn heartbeat. marking the passage of time, a reminder of faith and loss, woven inseparably together. The sound stretches across the mist like a thread, fragile yet unyielding, binding the present moment to the long shadows cast by ancestors long gone. The traveler pauses, their gaze lifting to the gray sky where the clouds begin to part, faint, light spilling over the worn stones. It is a moment suspended between darkness and dawn, a silent question hanging in the air. What remains when kingdoms crumble and rivers reclaim the earth? The bridge is no longer merely stone and mortar. It is a vessel of remembrance, a sacred boundary between the living and the ghosts beneath. It speaks to the fragile endurance of memory, to the human need to touch what has been lost, to reclaim stories buried beneath the relentless march of time. As the traveler steps forward, crossing from one bank to the other, they carry with them the weight of history, the pulse of lives that flicker like fragile flames against the vast darkness. The river below whispers its eternal song, a lament and a promise. Those who remember will keep the past alive, even as it slips quietly beneath the waves. In this liminal crossing, the boundary between what was and what might be blurs, inviting reflection on the cost of time and the price of forgetting. The bridge stands, bowed but unbroken, a testament to endurance, to the fragile link that holds worlds together. Its stones are cold beneath the traveler's hands, yet warm with the pulse of countless lives, an eternal reminder that even in decay, the spirit of lost kingdoms endures, waiting patiently to be reclaimed by those who dare to remember.